Welcome to Ion Franchising, where you will learn the A to Z's of franchising. Welcome in, everyone. So I am Lance Graulich, your host here, and I want to welcome Jim and Marylin Way to Facebook Live. Welcome, Jim and Marylin.
Welcome. Thank you.
Awesome. So let's just start by talking about who Jim and Marylin are. You know, in my world of finding people their perfect business, franchises, non-franchises, etc., people always are wondering, there's so many misnomers. There's so many myths. The fact is, people think you still have to be a millionaire to own a franchise. In the old days with McDonald's, people would be like, dismissive. I can't do that. I'm not going to be able to afford that. But I think since Google was invented, million years ago, 22 years ago now? The technology, the internet has opened up so many more franchise opportunities. But as you guys know, restaurants are alive and well always. So let's give us your story. So Jim and Marylin, where do you live?
We live in Massachusetts. Just south of Worcester, we live in Northridge.
Wonderful. So let's talk about what did you guys do prior?
I myself worked for Staples. I was with Staples for 26 years in various roles. And, from retail operations, corporate finance, field operations, and then corporate labor management. So I was with one company for 26 years and was let go and wanted to do something different.
Good old Staples.
I drove a school bus for 26 years.
How did you handle that, Marylin?
Wasn't easy on some days, I'll tell you that.
Well, so tell us the story. Island Fin Poke is the brand that you found. Was that the one and only brand you investigated to look at others? Tell us the story, how you found them or they found you.
After I was let go from Staples, we were kind of sitting home one night and I went on Google and I put my information on a Google search and actually filled in a form, which we all know what happens once you do that. And I started getting many phone calls from many different people as to asking if I might have interest in their specific brand. A lot of sandwich shops, burger shops, a couple ice cream places. And how we came across Island Fin is we actually, a franchise broker reached out to us. And his first conversation was, I don't want to sell you anything, just want to know why you're interested in being a business owner. And then set up a couple more calls with us before he introduced us to a couple different brands. And we looked at the different brands, including Island Fin Poke. And at the end, we thought Island Fin might be the best fit for us for a couple of reasons. Number one, we love the food. We went out and actually found some poke restaurants around us. There wasn't many. And found them. We loved the new concept, the new type of food it was for us up here in the Northeast. How it was health conscious, but also similar to retail. To me, I love the customer service aspect of it and being able to be working with the customers.
So let's talk about, though, Island Fin Poke. When did you actually visit a location? You obviously checked out locations around you that had poke, which some people called poke. They call it, pokey. Like hokey pokey, that's what some people call it. When did you actually visit Island Fin Poke?
November of 2018. We went down to Florida, right, I think a week or two before Thanksgiving.
And how many phone calls did you have prior to you and Marylin looking at each other saying, are we going to do this? Are we really doing this?
I think it was interesting. We had a couple of phone calls, with the franchise broker, and then we actually talked to Mark Setterington on the phone I think twice before we went down and met with him and his family. And we did the out and back on the same day, which is pretty tiring to do on a plane. And we got back to the airport and I looked at my wife and I said, let's just go grab a drink at the bar. I don't want to talk about this right now. My mind is spinning. And we woke up the next morning, we kind of looked at each other and said, yeah, let's do this. And I think I pushed Marylin more than she pushed me. And I think she looked at me a little bit like I was nuts. But,
So let's back up on something. Marylin pushed you. So at this point, Marylin, were you still driving the school bus?
I was. I continued to drive the school bus all the way until September of 2020. And I stopped that because of the whole COVID situation.
Love it. Okay, good. Got it. So at what point after that discovery day in Florida did you then tell the team that you were joining? I mean, it was soon thereafter?
Yeah,
Wasn't it on Thanksgiving Day?
yeah, I think it was the day before Thanksgiving or Thanksgiving morning, something like that. We sent Mark and his family a text with us wearing the Island and Pokey shirts that they gave us as a gift when we came down there, saying we're in.
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
We had everything signed with them probably within a few weeks, like after that, and we actually had a lease signed 3 months later, right at the end of January.
Got it. Wonderful. Tell me about that whole process. Let's back up a little bit on the emotions. There's a lot of exciting things that have happened. We're going to go through the opening and what's happened since you've opened the first store. But let's go back a little bit on the emotional side of things. So here you are, because I deal with people as a franchise broker every day that are stressed. I think it's 60 to 65% of America at any time today is looking to be their own boss. But so many people are scared, obviously, of the unknowns. It's easy to have a paycheck. Well, in your case, you no longer had a paycheck. So you didn't really have much of a choice. You had to go forward with something. And were you looking at other jobs at the time, or you knew you were going to be your own boss?
No, I was still interviewing some other retail companies in the area at the time. For what I was looking for, I didn't want to get back into the corporate politic game. After being with the same company for 26 years, the thought of starting with a new company, to me, was just as scary as opening my own business.
Right.
If not scarier. And I found that actually a little bit more scary to start with a new company.
That's a great way to put it. I mean, being more scared to start a new job than you are to necessarily start your own business. I love it. And Marylin, how did you have a hand in that in the early stages before you ever got on a plane to go see Island Fin Poke in Florida? Who was pushing who? Was Jim? It sounds like you were pushing him, but he's the one that's unemployed. So how did that whole thing play out?
He was actually kind of pushing a little bit more because he didn't have his job anymore and he did not want to get back into the corporate world. And I didn't want him to go back into the corporate world. We had been talking about it for many years before that, about possibly opening our own restaurant. And it just kind of happened when we found Island Fin Poke. I can't have wheat or gluten, and pretty much everything in Island Fin is gluten-free. So it seemed like a perfect fit for us.
So at what stage did the fact that it was a franchise, were you looking at all franchises? Were you looking at starting your own restaurant on your own initially? Tell me a little bit about that.
We really, at this point, we weren't, because there's just so many things I didn't know about opening my own business that I knew being part of a franchise, you at least get the support of someone who's already done it and has a process, has had a process out there to at least a roadmap. Granted, when we started with Island Fin, we were the third franchisee to sign and the first one to open. So we helped develop the roadmap that he's using now. That's a lot more detailed and helpful that we're now using for our second location that we're looking to open.
That is pretty amazing, though. You signed as the third, you opened the first store, but you still felt comfortable because Mark, being a chef and having all the experience he has, he's an old friend of mine from Las Vegas, and so obviously you felt safe and comfortable, even though you were only the first one to open.
Yeah, no, definitely. And that was a great thing too, especially for new franchise companies, is having a great franchisor that is really embracing their franchisees, as Mark did with us, and that was that definitely, I think, really made a big difference in our success.
Awesome. So tell everybody about the opening. How did that go? Normally speaking, when somebody's opening their first of any concept, a restaurant or otherwise, you kind of have the deer in the headlights. You've never done any of this. So how did that go?
The first week was a blur. It definitely was. It was definitely, crazy, as, we were much busier than we thought we would be.
Don't you hate when that happens?
I do. Unfortunately, I got a little cocky because of that. And I said, I don't need to invest as much money in marketing. So we started seeing a downturn quickly after that, because it's still a new concept. Poke's new in our area. So it's not like it's not like a Starbucks opens up and everyone knows where Starbucks is and they're coming flocking to it, or a Chick-fil-A. We still need to drive the awareness of who we are and get people to come try us. So we had a lot of trial at the beginning, but those people aren't going to eat poke 7 days a week for every meal. So you need to generate a bigger following than we had. And so we kind of did take a step back in the fall months and started really seeing momentum pick up right after Christmas, January, February, and then March 19th happened. And, it's one of those days that we'll all remember when the government came on and we're shutting down the state.
And you two looked at each other like, now what? At what point did you call Mark and the team and say, so what do you know about this and what should we be doing?
The great thing is, we all kind of saw it happening at the beginning of March. We knew it was going to, we saw the writing on the wall. So we were already talking as a team with Mark. We were, our POS company was at that point in a beta test, but they quickly rolled out online ordering and got that out and going for us. So we were able to quickly adapt and at least come up with processes to allow us to continue to operate those at a significantly slower pace for a while, because people just weren't leaving their homes,
right,
to at least deliver poke to our guests curbside or through delivery services.
Yeah, I remember when the pandemic first hit in March, everybody, it's like the world stood still for a couple of weeks or even a month, because nobody really understood what any of it meant, how long it was going to last, whether it was all temporary or what. And it was definitely pretty crazy. And then all of a sudden people realized, hey, I can't go out to dinner like I used to. And obviously takeout and delivery became a huge thing. So, so tell us all of this. So you've been open how long now? Store number one?
Almost 3 years. It'll be 3 years this July.
Okay. And notice I said store number one. So what's the best sign of health in any franchise organization is when franchisees like you guys decide, I'm going to do store number two. So that's kind of you're pregnant, so to speak, with a second store, right?
Yeah, we're in the early stages of our pregnancy. We signed a lease a couple of weeks ago. And
congratulations.
Thank you.
Yep, and we've been going back and forth with our architect on drawings. We hopefully have drawings approved in the next week or so, and then we can get bids for contractors. And our goal, hopefully, if all goes well, is to open the end of August, beginning of September.
Yeah, you're old pros now. Can you imagine? Can you just remember back 3 years ago to what it was like when you didn't know much, and now you have some sort of comfort level, a new comfort zone, so to speak, that you feel pretty good, right?
I'd say I feel better this time than I did the first time, but it's still
fair enough.
It was 3 years ago.
Yeah.
It's kind of like pregnancy, at least that's what women say. They always say, why am I doing this again? But they forgot it was like the first time, so they do it again.
So Marylin, tell us about you now. So when did you officially retire from being a bus driver?
September 25th, 2019. Not that I remember that or anything.
No. Think harder. What date do you think it was? No, I'm just kidding. So clearly that was very memorable. And what has been, let's talk about both of your roles. What have both of your roles been in the first location, and what's the plan in the second location?
Jim basically does all the financing and the bookwork part of that. I'm more in the restaurant, building bowls with right next to my team. I do the ordering, things like that at the restaurant. But Jim is the finance person 100%.
Got it.
Yeah. So, with the second location, we have a manager for our first location now, which is great. She's a day one team member of ours. And so, she's definitely moved up and taken a lot of responsibility.
Love it.
So right now I'm overseeing kind of the high level operations of both from a numbers perspective, making sure, marketing plans are in place, everything we need to do, food orders are all being done and all that stuff. When we open up the second location, Maryland, at least for the first 6 months, will be in charge of the operations of the second location.
Yeah.
But our goal there is as well to get a manager there so we can both take a step back and do some of the higher level stuff, but go between both locations and be a part of both communities and the family.
I love it. You mentioned something a little while ago. Your manager of your first location has been with you since day one.
Mm-hmm.
So what is the secret there? Give me your secret sauce to retention. So many people out there having problems retaining people. How are you doing it?
I don't know. She's to be honest, she's currently our only remaining day one associate. We had a few that we lost back in the early spring, only because they were finishing school and what have you.
Yeah.
I think part of it is just always talking to your team members and finding out what they want, what they want to do that's different, and trying to help them grow as well. And she just we got lucky with this person. She's just a wonderful individual, and she's really, now that we've given her the responsibility of owning the location, and that was different. That was difficult for us too, because to give her the responsibility means we had to step back. So when someone has an issue that naturally they want to come to us, and we have to step back and can't be involved in that anymore, with us say you have to deal with the manager. So it's making sure they're empowered as well.
So let's talk about your lifestyle, both of you. How has that changed between Staples and driving a bus and your first Island Fin Poke? Let's say in the last 12 months, how often are you guys working? I mean, you have a manager, you're obviously there and participating, but how many hours a week on average are both of you working on the business?
I still probably, because between books going in to talking to the guests, it's still at least 40 hours a week. But it's stuff I love doing and want to do, between, stuff at the home office and then in the location. So at least still 40 hours a week. We're never, as owners, you're never really off the clock, but we have people that we can rely on now to kind of do some of the daily activities and that we trust. So
the restaurant functions while we're here.
Yes. Exactly.
And Marylin, how about you? How have things changed? I mean, you have a little more flexibility in your schedule, obviously.
Yeah, I'm at the restaurant 2 to 3, sometimes 4 days a week on the schedule, but for the most part, we're there almost every day. We still get out there. We want to talk with our guests and make sure everything's still going well, but we have a good time there. We talk to a lot of our guests. We have a lot of regulars there. We know them by name. We know their bowl. The second they walk in, we know what they want. So it's really cool.
So is it fair to say this has been a life-changing experience? You've seen the other side and you're happy you did it?
For me, absolutely.
What about for Jim?
No, yeah, definitely. I really enjoy what we're doing. And, I kind of see the big picture too with opening a second location, what that's going to afford us and allow us to achieve. And, ultimately our goal is, when we first did it, I said to Marylin, I wouldn't be surprised if we have 2 or 3 or 4 locations in the next 5 or 6 years.
Well, and that was my next question, Jim. What is next? I mean, obviously you're going to enter a different sort of arena, being a multi-unit franchisee, which is a big deal, and potentially 3 or 4, sounds like.
Yeah, and that's, at that point, to make it work and have managers in every location, you need to have, 3 or 4, because your expenses go up a little bit.
Yeah,
because you're not doing it yourself.
So, but the distance between location 1 and 2, how far away are they from each other?
About 30 miles.
Is your house somewhere in the middle?
Yes. We're slightly closer to Worcester than the Smithfield, Rhode Island location, but only by about 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So for anybody listening that's interested in owning a business, what other advice would you give them that we didn't cover yet?
Yeah, I would definitely, look yourself in the mirror and say, can I be a leader? Is this something I want to do? Do I understand business acumen? That's something that we've seen a couple locations out there. They just don't have a good understanding of what everything is going to take to do it. and to own a business. It gives us more than just saying, I want to own a business. It's knowing how to run a business and knowing how to ask for help. And that's one of the reasons I love being part of a franchise is there's still times, even after 26 years of retail experience, that I need someone else to kind of use as a crutch. And having Mark and his team there has been very helpful.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, look, in the world of franchising, it's always about the support that you get that's ongoing. Sure, you pay a little franchise fee to get the keys to the kingdom, so to speak, and all that knowledge and proven history. Even in your case, being the first one, there was still a proven history to the franchise. And obviously, listening to both of you, I didn't hear anybody scared of failure in this.
I think the only time we ever got scared of failure is when COVID started.
Yeah.
And, at that point, we looked at each other like, oh, there's no one coming in right now. I'm like,
yeah,
but but at the same point, fear is sometimes a good thing because it quickly motivated me and Marylin for us to come up with different ways to reach out to our guests and let them know that, hey, we offer delivery services through the DoorDash, Grubhub, and Uber Eats. We offer curbside pickup now, so you can come in and we'll bring your food out to you with a mask on and be really safe. And that being able to pivot and get to that really did help us be successful. And that time I was scared was for a very short period of time. Because I saw things moving quickly that I knew were going to be good for us.
It's really interesting you brought up that fear factor, because fear comes from the unknown. And when people get on their path to looking at franchise opportunities, I always tell people, myself as a franchise broker, get on the path. Allow me to introduce you to brands. And you have a first phone call and there might be a second, kind of like dating. Or you start over with another brand. I mean, at some point it feels pretty natural, but it's logical. When COVID hit, you guys were scared. Everybody was nervous, scared, again, of the unknown. So no big deal there. I did reach out to Mark this morning to confirm. I guess there's now 23 locations open in 10 states.
Yes.
And going pretty quickly. And there's a few other people becoming multi-unit owners too, right?
Yeah, there's a few of us. So we even though we were the first location to open, unfortunately, we will not be the first franchisees to have multiple units because someone already beat us to that.
Yeah.
I'm hoping to be the second one to have multiple units.
Jim, I love your competitive spirit.
You got to have a fun competition. I'm a sports guy. I played college basketball. I coached basketball up until just a couple of years ago. And, you need to have that competitive spirit. And even with your team members, to have a little competition between them, as long as it's fun and at the end of the day, everyone's on the same team, it just makes us all better.
Absolutely. So let's talk about marketing a little bit. What are your secrets? I mean, what has Mark and his team brought to the table? And what have you learned about launching a successful restaurant franchise in your area? What are some of the things that you've done in location number 2 and your number 1, and you're certainly going to do in location number 2?
Definitely is the use of social media platforms, mainly Facebook, getting out there, doing ads on them, connecting with your guests. A big thing, and Marylin does an awesome job with this, is every review we get, no matter what the platform is, she responds to every review.
Love it.
So, so we get them on Yelp, Google, on one of the delivery platforms. Every review is responded to, and usually within 24 hours or less. So that's, that drives it.
Yeah.
Inside the store. Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was like, inside the store, we, when people have a great experience, we say, make sure you tell your friends and family about us. There's still so many people that don't know about us. So asking for the word of mouth. And then we're not afraid to try other local advertising things as well. So we do food drops. We bring food out to different businesses. And, Marylin can tell you some of those experiences because she's the one that brings the food in. I drive the truck.
Tell me, Marylin, so free bowl drops, so to speak?
Yeah, basically you go in with some free bowl samples. We make 4 different kinds of bowls and some Dole Whip samples, and we drop them off at different area locations different businesses, and people are loving it. They get so excited when I walk in the door and they know they're getting free food.
I love it. Yeah, free food always tastes better also.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does.
You know, one thing we didn't cover so far, and Marylin, why don't you just describe it? Tell everybody really what Island Fin Poke is. I mean, what is it? What do customers love about it?
Well, with Island Fin, it's the way the food is prepared. We go with the true Hawaiian traditions of the food. Poke means chopped up fish or cut up fish in cubes. So that's what we do. It's very healthy. Like I said, everything is gluten-free. Everything is sustainably sourced, and we do our best to maintain that through the Island Fin way.
And I love the fact that there's a low labor model, because everything, I mean, it's pretty easy prep. You make all your own sauces, but you're shooting customers, so to speak, right down the line. You know, there's no kitchen that's mysteriously prepping things in the back. Everything's really done out front in front of the customers. So it's a very customizable, quick environment that I absolutely love about it.
It definitely is. And, you think about what poke is, it's we always refer to as sushi in a bowl.
Yep.
So it doesn't take as long to build a bowl as it does a sushi roll. So you're able to be a lot more efficient with your labor there. And to your point, we're not cooking anything except for our rice. Everything else is raw, is fresh ingredients. Mm-hmm. So it's the labor, the back of the house operations. Being a retail person, I had no restaurant experience before this, was very easy to adapt to, because I didn't have to learn a million different recipes, how to cook all these things. I just had to know how to use a knife.
Yeah. Be careful. You mentioned something earlier. You have them all. You have them all.
Yeah.
You mentioned something earlier, and I tell people this all the time. Your skills from your previous career, even if it's in a different industry, are definitely transferable. But, you can't train common sense or personality, especially when you're in the hospitality business. But, look, I mean, being a bus driver, being at Staples, even on the executive side or leadership side, you did establish or create and learn those skills that are transferable to the ultimate hospitality business, essentially in the restaurant business. And Mark, thankfully, has a great system that has trained you guys effectively. Let's talk about best practices. So what is the system? I'm sure you franchisees come up with new things or new ways maybe to do something, whether it's inventory or tips here and there. Do you talk every once in a while to franchisees about new things maybe you've discovered, easier ways to do things, and share those with corporate?
Yeah, we'll share them. We have monthly calls we get on to kind of go through the marketing plan for the month. And sometimes there we'll talk about best practices of what someone else might be doing. One of our partners out in Las Vegas, they created a partnership with some of the local schools where those schools will send their orders in and she delivers it to them. So it's just how she did it and made it very efficient, so that, because a school teacher has a very different lunch schedule. They have a 20-25 minute window. So they need their food there when the lunch period starts. They don't have time to order out.
I love it.
So
I love it.
That was one. But we're always talking about things, and if we see a way to improve it, we'll bring it up to Mark, and sometimes he'll yay it, and sometimes he'll nay it. And but either way, especially if he nays it, he's going to give us the reason why. Yeah.
Well, and maybe it's just a not now situation, and let's see how it goes. But
sometimes we're just not ready for that.
Yep.
But
my point is, I love the collaborative nature of franchising. Most people have heard the expression at some point, you're in business for yourself, but not by yourself. And look, I'm very happy for your success, and I appreciate you guys both being here today. Any final words of wisdom in the parting moments we're together here?
Especially now, and maybe it's because I'm older, up in my years a little bit, but I enjoy my life. So whatever you're going to do, it has to be something you have a passion about. When you wake up in the morning, you're excited thinking about it. Sometimes you dream about it during the night. It's what you think about before you go to bed. It has that passion. So it continues to drive you to want to be better. make yourself better and make your business better. So whatever it is that you want to do, you have a passion for it.
I love it. I love it. And to that point, you just inspired a thought. People in the old days, it seemed that people always felt like they had to be so passionate about something in particular, one thing. And what I tell people, like in your case, both of you, you're passionate about living the lifestyle that you want, right? It's not about, it just so happens you're doing it in the restaurant business. And I love that, but it didn't necessarily have to be a restaurant. It's obviously what you settled on, but sometimes people get so hung up on, well, I'm really passionate about kids, or I'm really passionate about senior citizens. At the end of the day, you can always do that, whatever that is, helping senior citizens, if you don't do a home care franchise, but maybe your lifestyle choice and the business choice happens to be in the hospitality business. So, I love that. I love that. Marylin, any final words from you? I know we always give women the last say, of course.
I know, right? I would honestly say just if you think that you can do it, to just go for it. I have my favorite saying is leap and the net will appear, because sometimes it usually happens that way. It really does.
Yeah. Leap and a net will appear.
That's it.
That's kind of like the one about the typical entrepreneur that grabs the parachute and jumps out of the plane and puts the parachute on first while they're falling.
Basically.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, Jim and Marylin, thank you so much. Island Finpoke, multi-unit franchisees. Congratulations on all your success, and look forward to tracking your history. And we'll have you on again by the time you open store 3 and 4.
Thank you very much.
All right, thanks.
Thank you very much for listening today. Please like, follow, and subscribe. This is Lance Graulich. Until next time.